Yo, what's good YouTube? In today's video, got you all the new top 5 meta loadouts you guys should be using. So if you enjoyed today's vid, give it a like, subscribe, notifications turned on, and let's get into it. All right, so for our first gun up here today, we're gonna be taking a look at the FFAR1. There's a lot of really good ARs to use in the game right now, but overall, of course, the new gun is going to be one of the best ones to use, if not the best, and the FFAR is incredible, really fun to use, honestly, very satisfying, kind of has that sound of like the Black Ops 1 FAMAS, which I quite like. For any guys that played BO1, that's quite a long time ago, it's like 2010, so 15 years ago. Anyways, let's get into this thing here and show you guys how to do this. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go throw on a reflex, and that's gonna be the Volziski reflex. If you guys are gonna use an optic of some sort, I'd recommend to use any type of red dot you feel comfortable with, and then at maximum, I'd suggest going down here and maybe throwing on a 3x or a 2x. After that, you pretty much want to stay anywhere up in the red dot range. Anything more magnification than a 3x is not going to be beneficial. It's just not that great on really any fully automatic gun you're using. So just stick for a 3x at max, and then go for something like this. I think the recoil and everything, it just feels very satisfying to use with the red dot, not gonna lie. So slap that on there, and we're gonna go to the customize section real quick, and we're gonna change this over to the blue dot. By the way, like doing that, always run the blue dot if you guys have that unlocked, which I'm assuming a lot of you guys should. Get help unlocking Dark Matter, Abyss, and Nebula camos in Black Ops 6 with Mitch Cactus. They're absolutely the biggest and most reliable in Call of Duty right now. Whether you want something across multiplayer, zombies, or Warzone, they're completely legitimate for all platforms. They're super trusted by the community, and you may have seen them all over YouTube, and that's for good reason. They'll unlock all your camos, augments, and more without needing to lift a finger, with over 17,000 reviews and thousands of personalized vouchers. They're the go-to for all things in Call of Duty. Use code CHUCK at checkout for 5% off. Back to attachments for the muzzle section, we're gonna go through on the compensator. By the way, I'm not really sure if the mono suppressor is glitched, but I have this gun fully maxed out, and it still needs to be unlocked in the armory. Not sure if that's a glitch or not, or if I just have to go do it. But anyways, regardless, you're not gonna be using the mono suppressor. We're gonna be using the compensator because this gun definitely needs that recoil control. The really nice thing about this is that you can kind of technically build this out for long range, which is what we're doing it as like a primary AR. And a lot of people are using it as sniper sport, running with like an iron sight and making it more mobile at close range because the TTK is really good on it. So a lot of things you can do with this thing, but overall the compensator is going to be the move. Barrel section, we're gonna go through on the reinforced barrel. You guys can see what's really nice is our damage and effective range of the reinforced barrel is 54.5 meters, which that's phenomenal, right? Like that's awesome. The gain twist barrel, which I would prefer the bullet velocity of the gain twist, right? 1261 versus 1087. So essentially 1100 if we want to round up. I'd prefer the gain twist in that regard, but overall the damage and effective range is only 41.9, and I'd rather have it just, you know, have that extended damage range right there. So, I mean, that's a big loss, 41 to 54. So go for the reinforced barrel. You'll have 1100 meters per second bullet velocity, which is perfectly fine for most engagements, right? So go ahead and slap that on there. Under barrel, I want to go through on the vertical foregrip here. So that is pretty standard, tried and true. It's not like you're going to be using that new G grip if you guys have that unlocked. And lastly, in the magazine section, of course, the 60 round extended mag 2, which is what we're going to be using. So that right there is going to be your full FFAR build. Next up in this top 5 is going to be the LC10. I have to show you guys the DLC guns because it's like they're pretty much #1 in both the categories, AR, SMG. It's like they're just the best. So you might as well use the best thing available to you, and the LC10 is essentially that. So first thing we're gonna do is we're skipping the muzzle. We do not need anything for control. We're gonna go for the barrel, throw on the long barrel to increase our damage range out to 16.1 meters. Bullet velocity is great. Fire rate's perfectly fine. Everything on this gun is awesome. Recoil is very, very minimal to almost non-existent, so you don't got to worry about a whole lot. I'd recommend going for the long barrel exclusively. We don't need the reinforced. It's just not necessary. Go for the long barrel. On the barrel section, we're going to go down here and throw on the Ranger foregrip. I've yet to unlock this G grip, but it's also not really been used for anything in terms of like a meta build. I mean, I guess it's a cool attachment, right? But we prefer the Ranger foregrip for the sprinting movement speed benefit here, as well as it helps the recoil control. So I would prefer to have that as opposed to hip fire and ADS accuracy, you know, all that other sort of stuff. So I'd prefer just to have the Ranger. Magazine, we're gonna go in here and throw on extended mag 2. This is definitely the move. 55 rounds, fantastic. The fire rate's not too fast. It feels like you got a decent amount of ammo in the magazine for how fast the fire rate is. Just like a nice little perfect combo there, so I really like that. Rear grip, we're gonna go in here, and you guys got basically two options between the commando grip or the ergonomic grip. So I've used both of these, and I find both of them honestly to be pretty solid. Just kind of depends on what you guys are feeling. If you want something that's a little bit more, I guess I want to say less slide happy, then use the commando grip, versus the ergonomic grip is going to be for those of us that might be slide canceling just a little bit more. Don't confuse slide canceling with like YYing and doing all that, you know, spinny stuff. I'm talking like you're just actually trying to slide cancel and maybe break a camera or get out of a gunfight or slide to the left or right and have your gun be up a little bit faster. So maybe for like Verdansk, when you're not doing that as much, maybe the commando grip, and then maybe for Resurgence, the ergonomic grip will work out great for you guys. And for the stock section, two great options in here. The Infiltrator is going to be really awesome for that aim walking movement speed, and the other option, which I normally speaking kind of go for nowadays, which is the balance stock. Really do enjoy the balance. It works out great, like 99.100% of the time. So balanced or Infiltrator, you really can't go wrong. So that right there is your full LC10 build. Now for the number 3 slot in this top 5. I'm not really going in any, you know, type of like order. I'm just kind of giving you guys the top 5 guns. We're gonna be using the SWAT 556, aka the Grau. So obviously fire mod, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna use the Grau conversion. I don't even classify this gun as the SWAT anymore. This is just essentially the Grau. So that's what you got to go through on there. Now, this is going to be a little bit controversial. We're going to throw in an optic, and I'm going to go ahead and use my favorite, which is the Volziski Reflex. You guys are perfectly okay to not run an optic and go for something else. I just personally find that when I use the optic, I am a decent bit more accurate. It's just easier to use. And also by using an optic, you're not really taking away from it in any way, because the other attachment you're using is either a rear grip or maybe a stock of some sort. And those aren't providing you a ton of benefit. I feel like I get more benefit out of this attachment slot by using it for an optic. So we're gonna throw that on there. And of course, we're gonna go in here and toggle it over to the blue dot. It just makes it easier to see in game. I don't really bother with any of these other funny ones. Just go for the blue dot. Now back to the attachments. Of course, muzzle, we're gonna go throw on the mono suppressor. This is one of those guns that I like just because it is the most effective with a suppressor, not necessarily like a compensator. If you guys really struggle with recoil control, you can use a compensator because it's got 43.2 meters of damage range, but overall, I mean, why would you not want to use this and get out to 47.5 and 1277 meters per second in bullet velocity? That just doesn't make sense to go use a compensator, in my opinion. I think you guys will be perfectly fine using the mono suppressor. Under barrel section, of course, you got to use the vertical foregrip here, pretty standard. We don't really got to change this out for anything. Certainly not one of these like launchers down here. That's kind of ridiculous with a crossbow. I didn't know why you'd use that unless you're just trying to goof around. Magazine, we're gonna throw on the full auto extended mag here, and that is basically gonna be our final attachment right there. That's your full Grau build. Now for another SMG that's really good is the Ladra. You can use the Ladra, you can use the C9, you can use the SOG. I mean, there's a variety of SMGs to use, but my preference right now is gonna be towards the Ladra over the C9. I don't know what it is. I'm just kind of tired of using the C9. It's just been so good for so long. I like to use different guns, have some variety, and so I would prefer to use the Ladra. First thing, barrel, we're gonna go throw on the long barrel to increase out that damage range, 15.5 meters, super fast fire rate of 1071. So you're gonna get some really good, you know, shots on target here. Bullet velocity is fine because it's a close range SMG. You're not using this for sniper sport really in any circumstance. So this is close range SMG exclusively. Under barrel, we're gonna go throw on that Ranger foregrip. Does not require a vertical. Not really one of those guns that is going to have a ton of recoil that you're going to have to compensate for. Some people say it does. I really don't think it does. Honestly, it's pretty simple, especially when aim assist and everything kicks in, like, and you're moving around. It's very easy to stay on target with this gun. Magazine, we throw an extended mag 2 here, gets us 66 rounds in the mag. So it's really cool that, you know, the LC10 has 55 and this has 66. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Like, for real, that is a boatload of ammunition in one mag for an SMG. So it's awesome. If you guys want to be more mobile, then you can go for extended mag 1, and you'll be perfectly fine with this too. Just, you know, putting that out there, you'll be perfectly fine, and you will not incur any of the penalties here that you get for running extended mag 2. So if you want to be a little bit more mobile, run extended mag 1. If you don't really care and you're kind of running my exact build, which I prefer, you know, obviously mobility, I feel like it doesn't slow me down enough to the point where I'm going to get annoyed. So I just run extended mag 2. Rear grip, my go-to is always the ergonomic grip on this thing. I don't switch it out for anything else. I'd recommend for you guys to stick with that. Last in the stock section, my go-to is either the Infiltrator, which is something I've been trying a little bit more recently. I think that's pretty good. Don't really think it's like my go-to. I just prefer the balanced. as this just kind of rounds out the gun so nicely, and I get, you know, a benefit for pretty much everything I want. So I don't really need a ton of aim locking movement speed. I feel like I got enough. I get the hip fire movement speed, which is cool, movement speed, which is really nice, and strafing movement speed, which is pretty cool as well. When you're just kind of walking back and forth, it makes you a bit of a harder target to hit. So really good stuff right there. And if not, if you want to ADS a little bit more, infiltrator stock works great. So slap that on there, and that right there is going to be your full ladder build. Last but definitely not least here in today's top 5, we have the Kilo 141. So this right here got a bit of a weird nerf. This and the AMX, for whatever reason, got recoil nerfs. Doesn't really make sense. They didn't need to do it. One of the driving points and selling points of the Kilo was that it's a very solid AR damage profile wise, wasn't overpowered, had very minimal recoil. It's kind of like that gun that the average person that's really not good at the game could pick up and, you know, have fun with and do well with. And then of course, if you're a really good player, you're just going to absolutely beam people across the map because it had no recoil. I didn't think they needed to nerf it, but you know, who knows what type of stats they're looking at over there at COD HQ. Can't be really anything good considering the patches and the updates they make to this game. Actually, I highly doubt they're looking at anything and they're just pressing random buttons and doing bullshit. So first thing though, the Volzinski reflex. You guys can definitely go down here and throw on a 2 and 3 times. This would be a gun where I find it to be very acceptable to run that. So if you guys want something a little bit better for range, throw that on there. That's perfectly fine. I, by playing Rebirth primarily, don't really care for that. So I just go here and throw on the reflex. And as always, we go for the blue dot. Muscle section, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So technically 3 options in here. So first one being the compensator, not the go-to, but can be the go-to. The classic, if you want to stabilize the gun out, works very nicely. So you can definitely go for that if that's what you got unlocked. The mono suppressor, if you guys don't mind dealing with a little bit of that extra recoil, then you can go for that. But I'm going to tell you, probably for the majority of people out there, maybe even including myself, it's just going to be a little bit, you know, annoying to use the mono suppressor, and you're not going to feel as effective at range because the recoil is going to kick up. And even if you're a really good player, sometimes there's only so much recoil you can deal with, especially when the target's very, very small at range. You're not going to get the aim assist like you would at close range, right? For an SMG that may have higher recoil, but it's usable because it's close range, a lot of aim assist, right? So long range, not as easy. So we're gonna go for the ported compensator here. This is the 3rd option, in which I'd probably say is the best for the current version of the Kilo. First shot recoil, everyone knows that when you shoot the Kilo, it has that nice little jump up and then it feels more laser-like. So first shot recoil, that helps you out, and your vertical recoil is awesome, and your stabilization is really cool. So overall, this right here will be the better compensator to run. But if you don't happen to have that unlocked, then go for the regular compensator right there. But the ported, for this particular build, or like at least the way the Kilo is right now, is the move. And barrel, we're gonna throw on the reinforced barrel here. Damage range, bullet velocity, you know, you can see that 44 meters of damage range, pretty solid. Wish should be about 50, but obviously we're not gonna go for the long barrel because your bullet velocity drops off like a rock if you're not using, you know, the gain twist or the reinforced. And of course the gain twist, 35 meters, not acceptable. So we're gonna go use the reinforced. Under barrel, we're gonna throw on that vertical foregrip here as per usual, and the magazine, pretty standard. Extended mag 2 over extended mag 3. Extended mag 3, not the move here, fellas. We don't need 80 rounds in the mag. It's not like the Krig, which, by the way, still really good. You can still use the Krig, not saying it's not meta. I only got 5 slots, and we're not doing an AR specific video. So throw on extended mag 2, and that'll be good to go. So that right there is gonna be your full Kilo build. That's my top 5. You guys enjoyed it? Give it a like, subscribe, check out this other video on screen, and I'll see you all next time.